We recently had a chance to unbox and take a look at the Classiq III HD from Old School Games. This is a system designed to play NES, Super NES, Super Famicom, Mega Drive, and Sega Genesis games right out of the box. And if you haven't taken a look at our unboxing, I will have it linked for you right up there. Now, that looked at the hardware side of things. We checked out how the cartridge slots were. We checked out all the switches on the back, all the positionings that they have on it. We checked out the instruction manual. We checked out the controller. Now in this episode, what we're gonna do, it's all about the games. We're gonna check and see how exactly this performs, and we are gonna throw some unique sorts of challenges at it. Hey everybody, Gary here with Rock Solid Productions. Thanks for stopping by and checking out this episode. I really do appreciate it. Like I mentioned, if you wanna check and see the hardware side of this, that's busted out in its own separate episode, and I will have it linked for you down below in the more info section. We're just talking about the gameplay. We are going to check out NES games. We're going to check out Super NES and Super Famicom. We're going to check out the Genesis games, but we're going to throw some additional titles and systems at it. Will it work with a Famicom Disk System? Will it work with the Master Drive that'll allow us to use Sega Master System games? We will have to find that out as well. And what about Famicom games through the NES port? We're going to test all of those here. So go ahead, let me know first and foremost, which system are you most interested in taking a look at the Classiq III HD? And let's go ahead, it's time to get testing. So starting things out first with the Famicom Disk System, and as you can see right here, right there, right down there, it displays a battery error when we go ahead and try to use this. So unfortunately, not compatible with the Famicom Disk System. Honestly, not a surprise. So definitely a bummer that we didn't get the Famicom Disk System to work with this, but quite honestly, I didn't expect it to. I've never had a single clone system work with the Famicom Disk System. However, what is working, Samurai Pizza Cats. This is a great game, and I am using my 60 to 72 pin adapter to go ahead and play, so let's go ahead and hit start. We are using the stock controller, and this is a weirdly bizarre, amazing game. And this is actually something that I bought from Norm, the gaming historian, back in 2019 at the Mo GameCon. All right, so here we go. A is jump. All right, not a fan of that, so it's A and X are the controls for the NES games. I would have much preferred it to be A and B, but I kind of get it. Colors look okay. Now, we'll definitely do our Super Mario Brothers test here in a little bit. Now, actually, on the back of the controller, I just flipped the NS switch to S, so now B works as the sword and A as jump, so that's exactly what I want. Good to know. But it does completely work with Famicom games, which is great. Colors look a little off, but not terrible. So now we're going to go ahead and let's load up Super Mario Brothers. All right, so here we go. This is always one of my telltale tells on the audio quality of a clone system is Super Mario Brothers. Coins are not the correct sound. Also, I'm just going to throw it out there, the fact that the jump and the run buttons are reversed. So that may be where having X be your run button would be better. But yeah, you can... The audio is not correct. And I'm not surprised. I figured what they would do is just utilize the Classiq HD and the Classiq II HD NES side and just add a Genesis. So here, listen to this. So what should it look and sound like for comparison's sake? So here is my HDMI modded NES. Original hardware with an expensive mod. Completely different level of gameplay and interaction versus what the Classiq III is. Just trying to be as fair as possible here, but take a listen to the coins and take a look at how the graphics look. I think the reds are a lot less brown and muddy. But do you hear the sound of the coins there? The coins are, for me, the big telltale. And even when things come out of the question blocks, they sound different as well. Here, big test, listen to the coins. Compared to this. That's where I'm talking the audio differences between the two systems. Now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to switch to my Hyperkin wireless cadet controller. We're going to test out Battletoads because that is a game that clone systems generally have a very hard time working with. All right, here we go at Battletoads, and the first level normally plays just fine, so we're going to go ahead and skip to level 2. All right, so we've just defeated the boss at the end of the first level. Let's see if it... Normally what happens is during the second level, the descent, it locks up. So we'll see if we can get through here. So far, so good. That's normally the kiss of death, though. We have the crow beak. Is this going to actually not lock up? I wish I knew how to do the... like the cannonball. Here we go. I mean, this is really promising. Had to jinx it, didn't I? And that's what the lockup looks like. So not compatible with Battletoads, but again, I have not seen a single budget clone system that is. You've got to spend a couple $100 for like an AVS or for a an analog system for it to work with it. All right. Didn't work with this. Let's try a PAL game. So here we have my PAL version of Darkwing Duck. Now, one thing looking in the manual, the PAL switches only change PAL regions for the Super Nintendo and the Genesis. That's a bummer. So this is going to still play, but it'll play faster because it is a 50 Hz game playing on a 60 Hz system. We are going to go to the Quackerjack, ja. Ich bin Darkwing Duck. It's sad. I've played the PAL version so much that I can't play the NTSC version nearly as well at normal speed. I have to play the sped up version. It's just the muscle memory that I've developed, which is... It's funny and sad both at the same time. But I love this game. I will say the color palette seems to look a little bit better than on the Classiq or the Classiq II HD. Not sure if Old School made some changes there. Do have some overscan on the top of the screen, I'm noticing. So it will play PAL NES games without a problem. It'll just be sped up, which is unfortunate. I kind of wish they would have addressed this, oh, as I died there, with a PAL switch for the NES side, but they didn't. All right, let's move to one last test, and I'm going to test out the latency using Punch-Out. All right, Punch-Out, you know, another good example of a game where, you know, lag and latency can kind of cause some issues, so let's see what we got. And granted, Glass Joe is not the most difficult, but at least it's one of those, if I hit a button, does it respond? So far, so good. I mean, hitting a button, he's hitting Joe. I mean, but then again, it is just Glass Joe, so we are going to go ahead to the second round, or the second match as well, see if that's any harder. I'm able to dodge and duck and hit him. If there is any latency, which I'm sure there's some, it's something that, at least to this point, isn't hurting my gameplay. Now, I am not the best Punch-Out player. I've actually, honestly, never beaten the game. But yeah, responsiveness, not too shabby on here. It's actually something I would say is a pretty decent improvement over some of their earlier systems. Sit down. All right, now we are going to move up a generation, and we're going to go and test out the new functionality in the Sega Genesis. So while I said we were going to switch over to the Genesis side, I didn't necessarily say we were going to play a Genesis game. This is actually the Master Drive playing Rampage from the Master System on the Genesis side of the game. So, and we actually have our 6-button wireless controller here from Retrobit that we're going to test out. It's playing just fine. It's wonderful. Now, one thing, if you are using a Genesis controller on a Master System game, you're going to use B and C. Now, one of the, when I tested this on clone systems in our recent video, one of the things that I said was that it didn't exactly work. Now, one thing that a commenter had brought up was the fact that to use the master drive, you actually have to use it in PAL mode. So I have set this to PAL mode, and it is working. So I would say an unofficial system here that it does work with. Let's move on to the Genesis, and one of the games that most people want to know, will it work with the clone system, and that's Virtual Racing. So again, not something I'm really surprised about. This is what we get with Virtual Racing. I have only seen a handful of clones that handle it properly. That would be the Mega Retron and the Retron 3 HD. Both can play this. But unfortunately, Virtual Racing, a no-go for the Classiq III. All right, so this is awesome. Sonic 3 and Knuckles with the lock-on technology is working. So we've had a couple things that didn't work. This is working. So as you can see here on the title screen, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So we'll start one player here real quick. And we are again using our Retrobit wireless controller. I will say, watching Sonic and Knuckles there, I'm sorry, Sonic and Tails there, it looked a little bit blurry. All right, let's try to get this right. There we go. There we go. There we go. So yeah, great that it is compatible with the game. Just seeing a little bit of blurriness, I have to say. Yeah, overall responsiveness still feels decent. Let's check out the bonus level. Yeah, everything here seems to be working exactly like it should, so that's good to see. No, keep me away from the exits. So I will say Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Oh, I just lost all my rings. Working just fine. All right, so up next is Street Fighter II Special Champions Edition. And again, sticking with the wired gamepad. I was able to roll the D-pad there for the spinning sidekick. Nice combo there. Now, one of the things I'm finding is I have to slow myself down here. In the older versions of the game, it just, if you try to roll the D-pad too quickly, it doesn't pull off the move. But I was able to pull off every single move there. Spinning sidekick, the fireball, and the dragon uppercut. Got him! Got him again. Pretty good. This is a better controller than I gave it credit for out of the box. Now let's switch over to our final console on here, the Super NES and the Super Famicom. So I will admit, it's actually been a few days since I have last recorded for this, and I've had a few frustrations. First and foremost, when I tried to test Super NES through here, it didn't work. I went and I took the system to Live Action Games. Adrian, we tested out there, and for some reason, it worked. So I don't know if there's something going on with my capture card or my splitter not allowing the signal to go through. Anyways, I went ahead, brought the system home, went to go plug it back in, and the micro USB connector broke off inside the system. That was frustrating. So I basically had to buy 2 of these to get one good system to do a review on. That's a bummer. Well, we have it back up and running now, and here is the Super Game Boy. I think the audio sounds very much overmodulated on this. It's very much hot, but I have DuckTales 2 in. We're going to go ahead and see how it plays real quick. Controls feel very good, I have to say, on this. I have switched it over to where the A and the B buttons are the control buttons versus the X and A. I'm just not a fan of that layout. You may be. Your mileage may vary on that. Ooh, we found a secret area here. Aye, thanks, lad. A little bit of slowdown here, but that is due to the game, nothing on the system itself. Follow the signpost to get to the secret treasure. Okay, I mean, DuckTales 2 is working. Let's try another game real quick. So up next, this is actually my PAL version of Yoshi's Island, and I have actually switched to an actual Super NES controller. This is actually a game that I got when I was in Germany back in 2018. So we'll just start a new one real quick. So it's interesting that it's actually displaying English language. In the past, I've had this game display German. I will say from an audio quality standpoint too, this does not sound nearly as hot as the Super Game Boy did, so that's good to note. And as you can notice too, the music is not playing fast, so it is actually playing it, you know, the 60 hertz game in 50 hertz, so, or the 50 hertz game in 60. It's playing at the right clock speed, let's just say that. How about that? I do think the colors look a little bit muddy, but definitely better than what the NES side of it was. Yeah, I mean, I would say this is playing terrifically. And another thing of note is this is a Super FX chip game too, so interesting and important to note. Yeah, I would say Yoshi's Island working terrifically here. Let us move now to another terrific game. Up next, Super PC Genjin or Super Bonk 2. Actually, is this 2 or 1? It may actually only be 1. And this is for the Japanese Super Famicom. I fell in love with the Bonk games on my... I actually have it for my Famicom. Versus... There we go. You know, I know the NES version is super expensive. I don't have that one. I will probably never own that one. But I love the fact that everything is super colorful. You've got the different powers for Bonk as well, where he can get the different candies to get either big or small. This is one of the things I have to say that I love about clone systems, is the ability to play games from a wide variety of areas right on the system natively. That's actually how I first got involved in collecting imports. Was I actually got my a Retron 5, and I started checking out what I could play from imports and saw how much cheaper they were. Yeah, this is great. All right, let's move on to our next title. All right, let's see how it does with fighting games. Street Fighter 2, The New Challengers, and lag latency. That's basically what we're testing for here. And again, still using the Super NES gamepad here. Got him. And he got me. Nice counter. This one's gonna be close. Oh, he got me. All right, now I didn't try to do the dragon uppercut there, but I was able to pull off all my other moves, no problem. We'll try the dragon uppercut here on this one. Got him. Dragon uppercut, pulled that one off right there. I missed him, but I was able to pull it off. We're now going to the third round. Now we're just going to straight up see who can win. Responsiveness feels really good here. I'm very, very much happy with this. Very much happy. Is that like clicky buttons are hard to make? Ooh, nice. Got him there, come on. All right, let's see if... Got him, yes! Damn, he's got me cornered, no! Okay, the responsiveness and everything, very, very good on that. Definitely, I would say playable with fighting games. Now, one of the things I will frequently do is simply purchase things just for the sake of review. This is one of those games for me. I am not an RPG fan. I have never been an RPG fan, but being able to test Super Mario RPG on clones and other type of systems, it's important to you people, so it's important to me. So let's see what we can do. Oh, you can run. Like I say, I've not ever been an RPG fan, so this is not a game that I play. And this specifically is why I don't like RPGs. I'd rather play the game versus just do the equivalent of QuickTime events. But here you can see overall, I mean, it looks decent enough. I would say on my monitor, it does look a little blurry, but I'm owing that more to the monitor than the system itself. Looking at the capture down in front of me here on my computer, I'm not seeing the blurriness. So as you can see, Super Mario RPG works without an issue here. We're gonna move on to our final title. If you're a fan of this channel for any level of time, you know that this had to have been coming. Earthworm Jim. Now, one thing I will say is the black levels look a little bit soft on here. You can see like right below me the black level where there's nothing to be displayed versus the black around the game itself. You can see the difference there. I am very disappointed that we will never see Earthworm Jim 4, that the whole Amico thing kind of blew up in everybody's face. It's unfortunate. It's one of those things that I never pre-ordered. I was excited for a handful of titles. Earthworm Jim being the biggest one for me, quite honestly. But at 400 bucks, no. I hate them crows. Feeling a little bit of a lag on this. And it's mostly with the bounces of Jim. I was talking to some folks at a game store yesterday, and we all agreed what a terrible mess Earthworm Jim 3D was. That hurt all of our hearts. First two games were so good. Yes! Ow! Interesting thing about the dough is the fact that in the Earthworm Jim cartoon, Dan Castellaneta, who does the voice of Homer Simpson, also did the voice of Earthworm Jim. So, did Jim create the dough for Homer? The stock controller is better than I gave it credit for just looking at it. It's awkward is the best way that I can describe it. Very functional, but just, I'm not a fan. I mean, even for Genesis games and whatnot, I will use my wireless Retrobit controllers. I just prefer the overall feel of those. Can we get that? Yes! Groovy! Oh, wait! So overall, what do I think of the Classiq III HD? Well, I will say my initial expectations were pretty much spot on. I figured this would be a system that the NES and the Super NES would be virtually identical to the Classiq II HD and the Classiq N HD, and they pretty much are. It does add that Sega Genesis and Mega Drive side to it, and that's pretty similar to other 3-in-1s that we have tested in the past. I will say, from a hardware standpoint, this, yeah, I have two of them here. There's a reason why. So initially when I went ahead and tested this on the Super NES side, it didn't work, like I mentioned. I took it back to Live Action Games, we tested it there, and it did work there. All right, fine. So then I went ahead, brought it home, went to plug in the micro USB port, a reason why I really wish companies would start going to USB-C, and the micro USB port broke off inside the system. So basically for me to do the unboxing and the review of this, I had to buy two systems, costing me close to $200. Not a fan of that, old school. That is just not something that we really need to be promoting here in the hobby. Now, the second one thus far has worked just fine. I have not had any issues with it. And it did work extremely well with not just the NES, but the Famicom. I did not expect it to work with the Famicom Disk System. I don't know any clone system that does. I expected it to work just fine with Mega Drive and with Sega Genesis games, and it did. I did not expect Virtua Racing to work. There's very few systems that are clones that will do that. The Mega Retron HD is about the only one that I know of that does Virtua Racing. The reverse duty cycle issue on the NES side, it's exactly the same with any other sub $100 NES clone system. And it primarily affects the HDMI side of things. The composite video side, because it has a different video processor essentially for that, not an issue on that. So it's one of the things that these types of clone systems for years have gotten wrong, and that is the reverse duty cycle that I showed you as far as the coins in Super Mario Brothers go. The stock controller is better than I thought it was going to be. Still not great, especially for playing NES games. Now, for those of you who may have a Classiq N HD or a Classiq II HD, no reason to buy this. If you need a Sega Genesis clone system, there are clone systems out there that will cost you less than this that have better game compatibility. Just something to keep in mind. If you're starting from scratch, this is less expensive than the Hyperkin Retron 3 HD by about $10 and roughly the same price as the Retrobit Super Retro Trio 3 Plus. Now, one thing that this does better than the Super Retro Trio 3 Plus is the fact that this does have an aspect ratio switch, so you can go back and forth from 4:3 to 16:9. The Super Retro Trio 3 Plus does not allow you to do that. That's one of the big negatives to that system. Performance-wise, I would say virtually identical to the Retron 3 HD, although I do think the colors on the NES side are a little bit more muddy on this than on that system. Super NES and Genesis sides, virtually the same. Overall, for $90, is this something that you should consider? Maybe. I still think that they need to increase the quality control on these, the issues that I had with it not wanting to play Super NES games, and the breaking off of the micro HDMI connector. Two things that are just a big bummer, and for the average consumer that may not have the knowledge and background that I have, it's one of those things, they're gonna walk away from the hobby and they're not going to mess around with it. It's one of those things, it just has to work for that customer base. And out of the box, at least for me, it didn't. And then when it started working, it broke. So that was definitely a bummer here. Now, if you do want to check out our full unboxing of this, I will have it linked, like I mentioned in the intro, down below in the more info section. We also have videos covering other old school products like their controllers for the TurboGrafx 16. It's a really good controller. The controller that they came out for the GameCube, that's basically a clone of the HoriPad, another really good controller, and the Classiq II HD and the Classiq N HD. Those videos are coming up for you right now. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you want to help support Rock Solid Productions and be a part of our community, there's a number of different ways you can do so. First and foremost, join us over on our Patreon page or become a channel member here on YouTube. By joining through either one of those methods, you get early access to just about all of our video content, exclusive content, and a whole lot more. We also give you shout outs at the end of each and every one of our videos. You can also pick up some awesome Rock Solid Productions swag. We've got t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and more available through our Teespring store on screen right now too. You can also pick up some of our awesome 3D printed cartridge stands, Amiibo holders, Nintendo DS holders, and more by visiting our 3D printer store on screen right now as well. Links for everything will be down below in a pinned comment. If you want to stay up to date with everything we have going on here at Rock Solid Productions, make sure that you're following us on the different social media networks. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/RockSolidProductions, Instagram at instagram.com/RockSolidProductionsGK, and Twitter at Rock Solid Studios. If you're looking to pick this and other retro and modern gaming accessories up, make sure that you head on over to CastleManiaGames.com. He has a feature feature over there called Castle Cash, where the more you spend, the more you earn towards future purchases, and Castle Cash is just like cash. He also offers convenient payment plans for more expensive items over $50. Finally, make sure that you use promo code ROCKSOLID10 when you're shopping at CastlemaniaGames.com, as it can save you up to 10% on most items on the website. Again, thank you for watching this episode, and I cannot wait to see you again soon.